This video discusses file input and output. When a program needs to save data for later use, it will write the data inside of a file. That data can be read from the file at a later time. Currently, when programs are executed, the user will enter data into the program and the results will be displayed on a console or a monitor. Furthermore, when you look at the actual code itself or the instructions, we call that the source code. For instance, looking at this Raptor flowchart, we consider this to be source code, and this is what we're looking at. Now, when I run the program or execute it, I'm entering the actual data that is associated with this code. And so we're entering the employee's name and how many hours they worked. I'll just say 40 hours, and they make $125 an hour. And of course, when you look at the results, it automatically displays on the screen. So keep in mind, what we're doing is showing you now that the results will automatically show on the screen. Suppose you wanted the computer to write these results to a file. So the discussion centers around saving the results to an external file rather than on the main console. Currently, the Flowgorithm flowchart does not have features to create external data files or to enable the results to store to a file. Raptor, on the other hand, does. The Raptor flowchart program and Python does have features to store results to a file. I'm going to illustrate the Raptor program and how we can store the results to an external file, and different examples relating to Raptor. And next we will look at it in terms of Python. So Raptor has built-in functions that we call predefined functions. They are identified as redirect input and redirect output. These functions will direct the input to be read from an existing external data file, and that file will be extended with an ext. For example, I may say employee data file .txt. There's also that predefined function that will write the results to a newly created file, and it stores the results in that file rather than on the console. So that may be called the employee output data.txt. So the difference here is that this one would exist and the program will read the data from the file. And so the data will either be read from an existing file, or once the program is executed, rather than storing the results on the console or monitor, it will store it inside of a file. So it actually creates this brand new file. Okay, so let's look at this same program, the employee program that we were working with earlier. And the user will enter 3 different input items: the employee's name, the hours worked, and that rate of pay from the keyboard. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add this brand new function called redirect output And how do we do that? We go to the call statement, and we will actually add this symbol in Raptor, and we will type redirect. And as you can see, there are 3 different options. These are built-in functions. So we're going to use redirect output, and we may either say yes or true. Either one of those will work. So I will say, and of course, in this case, what we're going to do is tell the computer to redirect the output to an external data file. And normally what I do is, because it's in the class where I have different students and different names, I will tell them to name the file with their last name, their first name, but this time this is going to be called the employee output, and it must be extended with a txt. So what I'm doing essentially is telling the computer to, rather than display the results on the console, redirect the output to a file, and it will be a brand new file that has been created. So from this point on, rather than the results being displayed on the screen, it's going to show up in this newly created external file. And this is just an arbitrary name I chose, last name underscore first name employee output.txt. So this function creates a new external data file called last name first name employee output. Please make sure you extend it with the txt extension. Now, interestingly, from this point forward, all of the output will be directed or redirected to that file and written there. However, before you end this program, that file must be closed. Therefore, you're going to type redirect output and place false inside of there. And that's what you're going to see at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so we're going to execute or run the program. We're going to press the play button, and I'll put in someone's name, Mary Washington. She worked 55 hours and she makes $32.75. And notice when the program is complete, you do not see the results on the screen, and that's because the results have been stored in an external data file. If you look under this watch window, you'll see the information that I placed into the computer. That's the results. It didn't show on the main console, but it is going to display in an external data file, and this is what it looks like. So wherever my source program was, which is, I called it last name first name A6 if gross sample data file, and the computer created this file, last name first name employee output, and it has a txt extension. That is, it can be read from Notepad or Notepad++. Okay, so I'm going to open this file, and these are the results of the output. So rather than the output being stored on the console, it shows in an external data file. And notice the name of it, and it's done in Notepad. Okay, so if you have any questions, please contact your professor. Feel free to go over this particular video as often as necessary to understand the concepts of creating a file. This illustrates a user interacting with the program to enter the answer the questions or the input, but the results are going to be stored in an external data file. By using the redirect output and telling the computer what file name to redirect the output, and then we close off we close that file. If you do not close this file, the program will not write results to that file. Keep that in mind.